Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you can take your seats, please. I hope you enjoyed the first session this morning and filled up on your coffee and snacks and met some of the other delegates and the sponsors in the coffee break area. It's the first time I'm being on the stage this morning, so if anyone doesn't know who I am, my name is Louis Yakumi. I'm the group publisher of the Automotive Logistics Group. So as we were putting together the program, it seems one of the most important areas for investment, for automotive logistics, for infrastructure to, from, and in Mexico was very definitely the ports is an area that was seen to be an area that needs and that we need their support. So we put together a session that looks at different areas that investments have been made, need to be made, and to have a discussion on this. Unfortunately, one of the speakers in this session, who's supposed to be in this session, José Zozaya from KCSM, is unable to be here this afternoon, but I'm sure we will also include rail and other areas in this discussion as well. But we have got a good panel to bring us up to date on investments that are happening on the port side. And as I said, that's one of the most important areas and factors for helping to develop Mexico as a major automotive manufacturing region. So we've got representation from the Port of Veracruz and also from Grupo CSI, who are also making some major investments down there. But what I'd like to do now is invite the first speaker of this session. I'd like to invite Eugenia Torres Díaz, the commercial manager from Puerto de Veracruz, to open this session. Thank you, Luz.
Hola, buenos días. Soy Lucy Torres.
My name is Lucy Torres. I come from the Port of Veracruz, and I would like to thank Automotive Logistics for the invitation to present in this event. My boss told me that this is a major event, and he was not wrong. He wanted to come, but he had some issues to address, and he was not able to be here today, but he sends his regards. My presentation is formed by two stages. First, the operation in the Port of Veracruz, and mainly the automotive issues, and then talk about the expansion of the port, what we are currently doing to expand the port and all the project that we have developed for this purpose. As you all know, Veracruz is located in the Gulf of Mexico. This is an image, a picture of the Port of Veracruz. This is the current layout of the port. This is the container location with 41 hectares. This terminal is currently working now. This terminal is one of the terminals that will be relocated to the expansion zone. This is a space that by 2019 will be available. These are 41 hectares. And the Port of Veracruz is important because of the type of merchandises and goods that are managed there. We handle general cargo, bulk material, fluids, hydrocarbons, and and vehicles, of course, in addition to all the things that I have already mentioned. Within the different roads that we have with Veracruz, Veracruz has two main roads, Córdoba and Jalapa, and they link in the North Arc. In the North Arc, we distribute to the different zones in Mexico. So mainly, this is where the assembly plants are located, and the distribution is done through these two main roads to the rest of the country. It is important to point out that Veracruz is the only port that has the two accesses for the two major railroads, Ferromex, Ferrosur, and Kansas City. No other port in the country has these utilities. In red, you can see the roads in the port of Veracruz, and in blue, we have 13 roads for vehicles. Here we can handle up to 142,000 levels and some semi-levels and automaxes. This is the layout that we currently have in the port of Veracruz. Veracruz, 5 or 6 years ago, started constructing a bypass, a railroad bypass. It's the green area. It's a line. It's a double road. And here we're going to have Kansas and Ferromex. And this and there is an intersection where they have the entrance for the port. Nowadays, to get into the port of Veracruz can only be done by Ferrosur through this red line that crosses the city. And in order to have Kansas has to pay rights of way to Ferromex. Now Kansas and Ferromex will be able to get into the port with the same competitive conditions for their customers, and it is outside the country. It's 19.5 kilometers of double track. We think that that it will be working by the first quarter in 2019. In Veracruz, we have double stacking and 3 levels. We have that capability to receive railroads of that size, unlike other ports that cannot do both things, double stacking and the other process that we mentioned. This is the automotive mapping in Mexico. You are more familiar with this. In the central area of Mexico, we have the largest assembly plants, and they have a very close relationship with the port of Veracruz. These are the brands that we currently manage in the port of Veracruz. We have Volkswagen, Nissan, General Motors, Ford, Honda, Volvo, Mazda, Toyota. In this chart, you can see the capability of the Port of Veracruz. Orange and green are the spaces that have been provided as a cessionary contracts to CSA and CPB. These are the contracts that we have entered into with them, and the shaded areas in yellow, and even this one that is with a grid. These are areas that are managed by the Port of Veracruz, but that are operated by CPB and SCA, so they can manage everything related to all the automotive industry. We have 31,000 units of static capability. If we calculate 30,000 units times 7 days, 4 times a week, this will be 28 days per month. That will give us 120 units by 11 months. That means that the Port of Veracruz has a current capability of almost 1,400,000 units. 400,000 units with a 7-day stay. This is the zone of Icade for the containers, and I would like to highlight this because in the expansion area, this space will be available. This area, CPV, will be relocated in the yard number 3. A garage will be constructed, and Toño will explain this thoroughly. It will have a 10,000 unit capability, and we are in the process of changing and adapting this area, and this will be a plus for the automotive industry. Now, talking about statistics, in 1994, when the port administration was formed, we managed 6.8 tons, 6.8 million tons, and now 27. This is a 403% increase compared to 2017. That is port management or port operation, basically. As you can see, the growth from 2016 to 2017 was 13.5%. It increased to 27 million tons, 3.3 million increase. And in case of the automotive industry, 34% on increase of automotive, and we hit the record of 1,032,000 units. In 2017, we had never had this growth. We never hit over 30%. Regarding the exports and imports in the Port of Veracruz. In Veracruz, we have around 45% of imports, and vehicle exports is 564,000 units, which accounts for 55%, and they accounts for over 1,500,000 units in 2017. This is Veracruz is the port with the highest capacity for managing vehicles. We are prepared to manage up to 1.4 million units. This is the layout in 2017, 1,032,000 units, 24% went through the railway, or it was inbound and outbound, and through a vehicle trailer, it was 47%. This is the second stage of the presentation. I'm going to talk about a new Port of Veracruz. This is our expansion project. It's not a project anymore. It's already in progress, and it has made a lot of progress. This is the current port. This is the port that I explained before in my presentation. This is the railroad bypass. And railway bypass, I told you that it was 19.5 kilometers of track. This is the current customs. This is the new customs that is in process to be constructed, and the new customs is being constructed. This is the logistics area. This is the expansion of the Port of Veracruz. This is the water wall, and here this is the first stage that goes from 2014 to 2019. It's almost ready, and the contracts for the terminals that have already been granted for the second stage, and the second stage will start to be constructed soon and it will last from 2019 to 2024. And this will be the second stage from 2019 to 2030. It's important to mention that in this expansion area where the terminals will be, nowadays there will not be any vehicle terminal. However, we consider that in the second stage we're going to have a new bidding process for a vehicle terminal. The Icare terminal that is right here will be relocated to the expansion area. So this space will be available for the automotive industry. This is the water wall that is part of the first stage of the port expansion. It is 4.3 kilometers long. It was finished in December, and now we have a physical progress of 100%. For the construction of this wall, we used 8,000 tons of stone. We used cross logs, core logs elements, 3, 9, 12, and 29 and 20, and this is part of the structure of the wall. We also used parapet wall for 7, 9, and 11 meters over the sea. This will be a protection for the water wall that will help communicate the second stage of the terminals that will be constructed in the second stage of the expansion project to protect them from any weather conditions. These are some pictures of the water wall. The depth of the new port will be 15.9 meters, and it will get to 20 meters it's going to have 2 docks of 700 meters, one and the other one 550 diameters. The dragging volume is 13 million cubic meters. Currently, there's a physical progress of 75%, and the completion date will be April 2018. It is important to mention that everything that is marked in different colors, except for blue, is part of the new expansion. These were land that we were able to gain to the sea. This is piece of land that have been placed with all the dragging, with all the works that have been done. That the beach used to be where the double line was indicated in the map. Here you can see some images. This is part of the dragging process that is happening at the port. The marginal line has a physical progress of 80%. The completion date is April 2018. All these will have been land with all the refill in this zone. This was ocean, and now it's land, an expansion of land with the material from the dragging process. Here you can see some images. Last year, we issued 4 public biddings. The first one that was granted is the fluid terminal, which is this area shaded in purple. These are 12.2 hectares with 300 linear meters, and it will be used by the Genova Group through the CJ Renovable, an estimated investment of $123 million. We think that they will start their operations on the 4th quarter of 2018. the next contract that was granted. This was in November last year for Pinfra Group for the operation of a semi-specialized terminal for cargo in containers and in bulk. These are 108 hectares with 550 lineal meters. It has an initial investment of $106 million, and the beginning of the operation will be the first quarter in 2019. The third terminal is the terminal that will start operating this year. Is ICAVE, the Hutchison Group. These are 41.1 hectares, the ones that are shaded in green, with 700 lineal meters. This is the terminal that is currently operating in the current port, and it will be relocated to this expansion area. We hope that by the second semester of 2018, they will be operating, but in a couple of months, they will start migrating, and they will be investing $222 million. This is an expansion area for the container area ICAVE, 31.1 hectares and 550 lineal meters at the dock front. The third terminal that was granted is for Gramosa Group, 10 hectares with 300 lineal meters for managing agricultural bulk products, and we plan to complete it in the first quarter of 2019, and we expect that the investment will be $47 million. It is Puertos Especializados Transnacionales Petra, but it belongs to Grupo Gramosa. And the last terminal that was granted August last year was a mineral bulk material for Grupo Logra. It's 10 hectares with 300 linear meters of marginal dock with an investment of $20 million, and we hope that the operations will start on the first quarter in 2019. This is the second stage of this is the first stage. We're going to have 21 commercial hectares. For which type of cargo, we have not defined it yet. There's still analysis going on, and that depends on the conditions of the market once the bid is going to be called for. This zone will be for Lactecto 2 with 50.6 hectares and 700 linear meters of marginal dock. Well, the first stage is this one. It started in December 2014, and it will be completed in 2019. The second phase of the first stage will start in 2019. Will start 2019, and it will be completed in 2024. The first stage, it's private investment. It's almost $1.17 billion. It will have several docking positions, and we will handle over 50 million tons. As you can see, this is the current port, and we will continue with the operation at this port even when the new expansion area is operating. The second stage will start the construction process with breakwater, and it will be from 2019 to 2030 according to the market conditions. And another project that is also in the expansion area is the logistics activities, OSAL. That's the commercial name. It's a business scheme or business model, that a new business model that we have in Veracruz. This is La Salle. This is the expansion area that we just saw. This is the current port. This is the second stage. La Salle is a area as a bonded warehouse. It's going to provide an added value to the goods, and it may operate as a distribution center that imports goods can be there for up to 16 months without paying any contributions or fee to the treasury, and it doesn't cause any abandonment issues. Some of the activities that can be carried out in La Salle is management, warehouse, custody, sales, distribution, creation, transformation, and repair of the goods at that area. Nowadays, we have two companies that for a certain period of time will be using the area of logistics activities, and these are automotive companies. These are some pictures of La Salle. These are recent pictures taken of the vehicles of these assembly plants that belong to these assembly plants at La Salle. And this is all. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much for giving us an update on the investment from Veracruz. We all know Veracruz is a very important port for Mexico, but also very important for the automotive industry. So it's good and important to hear the updates and the big investment that they're making to increase the capacity. Next up, just to hear about another investment plan at the port to support the automotive industry, I'd like to welcome to the podium Antonio Zepeda, the Commercial Director for Grupo CSI. Thank you, Antonio.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
안녕하세요. As already has been said, my name is Antonio Zepeda, and I'm representing CSI Group. Allow me to briefly talk about CSI. CSI, we have been handling finished vehicles for more than 40 years. Currently, we are offering services as OEM plant yard administrator, trucking services, BDC operator, port processing, customization, body shop, logistics, based on the state-of-the-art technology. CSI performs around 15 million services nationwide to more than 1.3 million vehicles and generates around 1,700 direct jobs. Historically, Veracruz has been the first and the most important port of Mexico, and number one in handling vehicles, since operates around 60% of the total vehicles handled through Mexican ports. In the last years, the volume of vehicles operated through the port of Veracruz has been increasing. Only from 2015 to 2017, the increase was almost 40%. Last year was full of logistic challenges for the automotive industry and the companies related to this business all over Mexico, not only Veracruz, and Veracruz was not the exception, of course. In that sense, CSI, together with port and custom authorities, shipping lines, custom brokers, rail and truck companies, worked very hard in order to have the best use of the current port infrastructure. Apart from that, CSI used its external yard, which is located 21 kilometers away from the port of Veracruz, and where we operate import and exports. This highway that you can see here is the highway going to the port of Veracruz and going to the central and south part of Mexico. We have in front of us the main rail track, and we have a spur to host about 50 rail cars. Currently, we have developed 28 hectares, but we have 32 more hectares to grow up. Coming back to the port, CSI, aware of all these challenges, has decided to develop a one-of-a-kind multi-level building that is going to offer several advantages to the automotive industry. Capacity, quality, efficiency, and services. Capacity, because we will be able to storage up to 10,000 vehicles. Quality, because it's going to be a totally enclosed building, so vehicles will be protected from the weather conditions and other contamination threats. Efficiency, because our new location is going to be closer to the piers, and we will have more capacity in performing additional services such as washing, accessorization, body shop, undercoating, among many other services. This building, the construction of this building, it will start by the end of February this year, and it will be finished by September 2019. Here we can see a layout of our facility. We are going to have 6 floors. It is located in a 5 hectares area. The building is here. Here is the area for the loading and unloading trucks. And here we have the public rail tracks. But of course, we can also operate in the other public rail tracks of the port, which are located in yard number 4, yard number 6, 7, and as well 9. These facilities will have fire ventilation lighting system. They will have solar panels. And as I said, it will be an adequate facility to prevent the impact of the wind. In this facility, we will be able to offer services such as washing, undercoating, labeling, installing radios, alarm, repube, labels, wheel cover installation, among many, many other services. Here we can see our current location. This is our concession now. And this is where we are going to move, yard number 3. That's going to be our new location. As you can see, we are closer to the piers. This is pier number 7, 6 over here, and the rest of the piers are over here. For example, from the yard from this facility to pier number 7 east, the distance is 150 meters. It's pretty close. And this is how our offices will look like. We will have a ground floor plus 3 more floors. I would like to complement these slides with a video.
integrating logistics. CSI Group.
Well, pre-sales has already started. I would like to finalize my presentation remarking the advantages, the few of the advantages of the Port of Veracruz. Lucy already has presented very important information. As you can see, is something ongoing. I mean, it's happening, it's pretty on time. Veracruz, as Lucy mentioned, it is a port that not only offered rail service, but offered this service of two different railing companies. As well, we have two main highways to get to the Port of Veracruz. With the expansion plan that Lucy just presented, you can see that more spaces will be released, more docking positions for ro-ro vessels or other type of vessels are going to be available. And our project as a CSI, definitely Veracruz, it has been, and it will remain as #1 port of Mexico handling vehicles. Muchas gracias. Sí.
Thank you very much, Antonio. It's, again, good to see the investment that's going into Veracruz. Quite a big investment, a substantial investment there for the finished vehicle logistics side. So it's good to see and to understand a little bit more what you're doing there. And very fortunately, we've also managed to get another top expert, someone who's a real expert in vehicle logistics and understands all modes of vehicle logistics. Very lucky to get Roberto Zavala, the country manager and director of WWL, or Wallenius Wilhelmsen Logistics Services, to join us on the panel. So I just wanted to give him the opportunity just to say a few remarks before we get into the Q&A. Roberto?
El micrófono?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we hear them, Mike? Can we hear them? Yes, okay now.
Hear me okay? You hear me okay now? Yeah.
Ahora sí.
Okay. Thanks for the invitation. Lou, I would just like to start with a maybe a thought-provoking statement here. I think it is great to see things progressing in Veracruz, and I think, in my opinion, for us that have been in the industry for a few years, the issue has always been the timing of the investments in Veracruz. We've been discussing this. I remember when this conference started about 3 years ago. We saw the new project, but even before that, I joined WWL 10 years ago, and there was already discussions on the new project and how was this going to change the reality in Veracruz. Last year was particularly challenging. The vehicle volume was over 1 million vehicles, and then if you go 3-4 years ago, it was half of that, and basically through the same infrastructure, and that presented a lot of challenges for the logistics suppliers and for the OEMs as well. Suppliers and OEMs started to look for alternatives. Tuxpan started the auto volumes. Altamira increased their share of auto volumes, and then off-site facilities started to develop around the port. As a consequence of not having these developments on time, Veracruz has access. So 2 railroads have access to Veracruz, but in reality, only one has direct access. And the rail access for the new port, I mean, we don't see it happening soon enough, maybe. But I think that's just my thought here, and I hope this develops on time from now, and the investments that are going to be made correspond to the outlook of the industry.
Okay, thank you. Before we go to, now is the time for the Q&A, the questions and answers. Just a reminder about the app. If you want to send the questions via the app, and we'll be using the app later on for a survey as well. But don't forget, the app is available. Of course, if you have any questions, just to raise your hand, wait for the microphone, and then say your name and ask the question. Just one thought that sprung to mind a little bit. Unfortunately, not such a serious point, but the people who know me know that it wouldn't be a very serious point, is that yesterday we had some students into the conference to learn about what they need to do to become automotive logisticians. And the head of logistics for an important car maker in Mexico said he started by studying nautical engineering. And he said, who would need nautical engineering nowadays for logistics? But I think when we see how important the ports are, how important Veracruz is, it's just a reminder that, nautical, the ocean side, the ports is a very important point. But I think I saw some hands up. The first one was over there. I don't know if anyone can see which way I'm pointing.
Sí. Buenos días. Es una pregunta para la licenciada Luz Eugenia. ¿Está bien español o inglés?
Should I continue in Spanish?
No,
or would you
hubiera
rather
sido
I
más
ask in English?
eficiente.
Okay, in Spanish.
La nueva asignación
Wouldn't it had been more
le dedicó la API de Veracruz a la bodega,
efficient
park
to
garage
work
que está ubicado
on
enfrente
the
al muelle número
park garage located in front of Pier 1? Wouldn't it had been more efficient to use it as a tourist spot?
que sustituyese a ese espacio
Wouldn't
los 4,000 metros.
you wouldn't it be more convenient to have found some other area instead of creating so much traffic there? I think timing would have been wonderful to do that before 2019, because in the meantime, the Port of Veracruz is extremely crowded today.
Pues que le digas que si hubiera sido mejor.
Bueno, bueno.
Ahí tenía que el botón.
Bueno.
Sí, pues nada más.
Ahí está trabajando ya.
Sí, o sea, que si hubiera sido mejor que
¿Estaba en inglés?
que si hubiera sido mejor que quitaran las áreas del edificio cuando hubiera un área lista.
Gracias. Es que estaba escuchando la pregunta en inglés y cuando me quité los
I was
audífonos
listening to
ya
the
terminé de
question
escucharla en
in
español.
English, and then I listened to
bueno,
it. I
sí,
heard it in Spanish, so
la-
I didn't understand.
La verdad hubiera sido...
The truth
el
is
hubiera,
that
hubiera no existe. Entonces,
what if does not exist, thinking what we could have done is no longer a possibility. We continue to have the same project. We want to enhance the port-city relation, and as you were saying, it did have an impact. The decision made did have an impact on port capacity. So based on that, we worked a lot with the assemblers and with the two vehicle operators in the port. We're working as much as possible on a daily basis to improve efficiency. And because we've had that park garage for over a year, it will continue to be part of the project. We are working, and let me tell you that La Salle is an option, and it is already used by both of the assemblers. Both assemblers have improved their operations in port. It used to take them 20 or 30 days of work, and they have improved, reaching 7 days. So 7 days and 1.4 million vehicles will be wonderful to achieve. That's our goal. And we're doing everything in our hands to support the industry. I underscored the change to ICAVE because 41 hectares will be available by 2019. But we're currently working, and La Salle is the option we're giving everybody. And 2 companies have already moved to La Salle. Veracruz is working to provide the industry with improved services, undoubtedly.
I think there is a question right at the back, and then afterwards I come to you.
Hola, Jonathan Flores de General Motors. Respecto al comentario que hacía Luz Eugenia, es un poco difícil no tener dudas al respecto de si realmente se está trabajando lo suficientemente.
You're indeed working hard enough in order to provide us with a more efficient service because of the facts and what reality is telling us. In your presentation, you said that the port grew 34% in demand in 2017 versus 2016. You mentioned that there's a chance of receiving 26% more vehicles, but at the same time, you're saying that 76 of vehicles are moved by vehicle trailers, which is more expensive for us. Vessels take up to 7 days to download, so using a train is an ordeal because of vandalism and many issues. Building the park garage is indeed a great project, but we're talking about withdrawing 5 hectares from current capacity. You're saying that all actions aim at efficiency, but in a certain way, it has moved us to be, well, of course, more efficient, but there are implied costs in having to work differently as assemblers. What is the federal government doing to address space at the short term during 2018? And how do you expect that building the park garage will reduce complications on the port? And what is the government specifically doing to address vandalism, which has hindered the use of the train? To address your first point regarding capacity, we have optimized. Well, you're from General Motors, but what I can say is that I know Volkswagen, Nissan, Honda, Mazda, they're working alongside with us in the quality brand. And stemmed from that quality brand project, we have been able to use an IT platform to improve efficiency both regarding paperwork and space occupation, which has allowed us to understand the different assemblers' operation times, which have been reduced, or car stays. Some of them even reached 40 days, and they have gone down to 5 or even 4 days. There are certain platforms. Well, that's what we have. We currently have the port, and so La Salle is another option. And everything has a cost. Of course, efficiency has a cost. Projects have a cost. Nonetheless, cost benefit is even higher, and I believe that Veracruz's effort to provide an appropriate infrastructure and advance. You know, perhaps it should have been done 5 or 4 years ago. We've been working on this project for 2 years, but I think we are doing our best with putting all our effort. And if you require further support, I invite you to approach the corresponding areas so we can assist you in optimizing your work. What can I say concerning vandalism? It's a system operating in our country. It's not unique to Veracruz. It happens throughout the country. The government is taking corrective measures, and the involved parties are doing so as well. I do not want to elaborate because I don't have the appropriate information, but if you give me your contact information, I will get you in touch with my superiors. What have we been doing? Well, there's La Salle. La Salle is an option for you. We may also refurbish another platform, and the park garage built by CPB will be a great option. Yes, 5 hectares will be lost, although I don't consider them a loss because it has static capacity of 2,500 units, and we will be able to hold 10,000. So it's a great addition to the port. In the container terminal, 41 actors will be available. So what I'm trying to say is that we have committed every single effort to do the work alongside different carriers, and we invite you to work alongside with us to improve the efficiency of your operations at the port. Thank you. I would like to clarify something. Antonio will not let me lie. In our specific case, we have the lower operation times at the port, and we're working with Mia and with you hand in hand in order to move our freight as quickly as possible.
Before I take some more questions,
Antes
I
de
just wanted to get back a little bit on the security question, because it is one of the most important issues. So Lucy has given us her point of view, but for the others, both of you are also kind of heavily involved. It's something that affects your work considerably as well. So is there anything, Antonio or Roberto, that you can add on the security issue? You don't. Unfortunately, it's only Lucy that needs the hand microphone. Your two should work. So the hand microphone should, yeah.
Is it working? Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
good. Yeah, I think I can comment on the vandalism. It's switched from one place to the other, right? So before we had a big issue at the Bajío area and in shipments going north, and then now it's out of control in the Veracruz, Puebla area, and it's unfortunate. I mean, we had shipments there, imports, and we had to stop using rail cars and switch to truck, and there's an economical impact with it. I think it's I think the railroads did a great effort in the Bajío area, and then put that under control, and it kind of migrated now to this region, and I think not enough is being done to have it under control. Having the rail access to Veracruz and back is really important to be efficient on your supply chain. Is very cost effective, and then you can alleviate the congestion at the port in a better way. I know trucks are more efficient, they're faster, but then you need more of them to alleviate or to release the volumes. I think when you start using a good combination of the two is when you become more efficient, and now there needs to be more done from the government. And I know it's a national security issue, but if it was corrected on the other side of the country, I think it can be corrected on this side as well. It's going to take time, but more needs to be done. to address this, which is out of control in that portion of the country now.
Antonio, have you got anything to add to that?
This is on?
Yes, we can hear you. It's fine.
Or maybe. Well, in the matter of security, unfortunately, there is not much I can say. I know the authorities are working very hard. It's not simple. Yeah, it is true that in other places they have taken actions that it has worked. As far as I know, it works, and then after a period of time, it's not working anymore. But what I can assure, at least from what I see, is that the authorities have been trying to mitigate this. As a trucking company, well, we have actually not recently. I mean, I would say in the last years, I would say in the last 6-8 years, we have been taking extra measures of avoiding to going to certain roads, to certain places, not going at night, to, even having our trucks driving on convoys, you know, so giving extra training to our operators in order to what to do in the case of something happens. So, I mean, as I said, I mean, we all have been working on that, and we really hope that things could get better at some point.
Okay. The first question runs here, and then we'll go to some of the others.
Gracias. Carlos Terrón de Transdevelopment. Es una pregunta principalmente para el Puerto de
This
Veracruz.
question is mainly for the Port of
Como lo se ha
Veracruz.
mencionado ahorita en este foro, no obstante hay inversión
Notwithstanding
en el puerto, bastante avance que
investment
observo en
in the
los últimos 12
port,
meses.
I have seen progress in the last 12 months, but let me say that the benefit for OEMs will truly come at the long term, because at the short and midterm, there are no benefits. You have invested in roads mainly near Nasal, but today there's no access to that area. Coming from the north. The southern axis from Ferrosur and Ferromex is constrained, and the northern axis is just missing. Notwithstanding, progress has been made. 7 to 10 kilometers are yet to be completed. If compared to other roads like the road to Zozaya, its first phase should have been operating in early 2010. It's 2018 and it still doesn't work, that access. And perhaps you're having the same issues in Veracruz with the economic impact and consequences on the automotive industry. You presented a chart claiming that traffic increased via truck and it went down via railway, like Jonathan from General Motors has said, and just like Roberto has just mentioned. My specific question is, what proactive actions are the port authorities and the federal government taking in order to avoid the same situation in Veracruz, the same situation that took place in Celaya, where after 10 years there are still issues causing logistic issues, cost issues, and vandalism. Like Roberto indicated, vandalism from Celaya has now moved to Puebla. So when the train is moving slowly and there are these type of inefficiencies, those are the consequences. Thank you very much. Not at all. This access road will become fully operative in the first quarter next year. It is, as I mentioned, under construction, and we are analyzing to find out how it will operate. Of course, it is closed right now because it has not been completed. We will finish it this year, and by the second half of the year, it will be completed with all the permits in place. And we are now working out on how it will start to operate. We are thinking about a railway scheme through the port. We're working on it so we can start operating in the first quarter. It has nothing to do with the other project you mentioned. We're on time, everything's fine, and we want to be ready because the extension will be deployed and it will be the only access via train to the port. Same thing for La Salle. Today, there's the Pier 4 option for Ferromex and Ferrosur. But we do know that it's thinking about the current, the port's current situation. But for La Salle, it could not be possible to use. Y también quisiera mencionar
Lucy
un par de cosas.
gave the overview of the
Lucy
port.
ya nos ofreció.
As I said previously, all the companies related to the port business, we have been working very hard. And one of the things I can say is that easy things such as workshops, we have done many of them on 2017. That helped a lot to the situation of the dwell time, which is what it was a big issue. As a CSI, I just show it. I mean, we offer an external yard that is 21 kilometers away from the port. That also helps to this situation. There is the SAL as well as an option. About the current yards that can be used for automotive industry in the port, yes, they are limited. However, as Lucy said, we are the operators. We are together with the Port Authority. We are looking for maybe other areas that could kind of compensate the 5 hectares that provisionally the port is gonna miss during the parking garage construction. And also, I would like to point that we are strongly analyzing the idea that we will not have to wait 1 year and a half to use the parking garage. We are also thinking of using it in stages. So that means that maybe when we have ready 2 floors, we will be able to use them. So that will also help to the situation. Yeah, I mean that's what I can share with you. And again, still it's going to be challenging, that's for sure. But I guess that if we keep working hard, we will be able to reduce the negative impact of this situation.
Okay, thank you. Question in the middle there, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Tomasz Lis. I represent Heg Autoliners, a shipping line. I would like to comment, rather. I agree with Roberto, what he mentioned in the beginning. I think the problem is the developments of the infrastructure are too late. Good that we hear that we're going to have them, but right now we have a problem with space. As a shipping line, we face problems with the ships waiting a long time to enter because of too much cargo sitting inside the port. Now my question is, or my comment is, since January there is a third option of stevedoring operations for the vehicles, which is done a bit different, in a different manner, more dynamic, and I think this is what we have to look for. Right now we have, the developments will take some time. The reduction of the space is going to take place right now, and we need to have a different way of thinking, which I think that third option is representing. And when it comes to ZAL, I think ZAL is not necessarily the best location for the vehicle storage, neither for discharging from the vessels. Thinking of the distance of 5 kilometers between the berths, which we currently can use, it's too far for the vehicles to be delivered from the vessel to the yard or from the yard to the vessel. So as far as the land looks nice, especially on Google Earth, but when we are there, it's very windy. It's sandblasting practically in the wind area. It's not a good place for storing brand new vehicles. And I think this is all we know about it, but I think that not many people talk about it. And I think ZAL may be good for many other cargos, not necessarily for cars, at least not at this stage. And the cover move, this, I don't know how the port authorities are going to handle that area going forward. I had different opinions that it might be used as a dedicated car terminal or just public berths, public yards. And maybe that is something that Luz, you could comment. Is it going to be, is there a defined solution? How is it going to be used, the cover area? Thank you.
La Salle, as I mentioned, has the legal customs figure that is the bonded warehouse since the beginning, since we planned it 10 years ago, since we designed it 5 years ago. We always considered the automotive industry inside. It was never an option to have it outside. Nowadays, the industry that is using La Salle is the automotive industry, the assembly plants. The distance, as you said, is pretty long, but the need for those assembly plants is space and time. So I don't know if you agree with me that the port is part of the logistics chain that is a node to have direct unload and have them goods there for 3 days. And if you need more time, there are companies that provide added value to the vehicles, custody services, and others that the goods require. And I'm not only talking about vehicles, I'm talking about any type of goods. La Salle is that option. La Salle is the option that can be provided to the suppliers to unload these goods to an area where service can be provided to those loads. The automotive industry needs a space for the vehicles to go to the different distribution centers. There isn't a cheaper area than La Salle. There is wind, but also at the current port, that's not new news. Veracruz has north, and many studies have been done, and there isn't anything that is different from the current port. So I cannot tell you that the weather will change, that no wind fronts will be there, or we're doing something to avoid this north. That's not true. I mean, the bad weather is there, the winds are there, and La Salle has taken that into consideration, has taken into consideration managing vehicles in the case of the new terminals on the phase stage. We have not considered the automotive industry. We always thought that that was going to be for other cargoes. It was thought for 2 container terminals, and due to the changes on the hydrocarbon regulations and energetic reform, we issued a bid for the fluid terminal. But what is a fact is that the automotive industry in Veracruz is significant, is relevant. We have people from SCA that we fought for a parking garage. We wanted to have that space, that area, while the project was in place without having any issues related to capability. However, the things happened like this, and we have tried to provide enough spaces. We have La Salle. That's what we currently have. That's what we're doing. And the third option that you have is options that the Port of Veracruz has always provided. We have 4 companies that can manage vehicles in Veracruz. However, they have specialized in other types of goods. And we have 2 operators that are working with vehicles with investment. I mean, they have invested, SCA and SPV. And yes, it's not a new third option. We have 2 other companies that can manage vehicles, and that's been done for a long time. And they said, yes, okay, they can do that. We are here to help you because we are a port. We want this service to be more efficient for everybody, and the more operators, the more competition, the better for the port. And we are doing everything we can do. You were there in Veracruz last time. We gave a presentation. We told you about the things that we're currently doing. Our director talked to you. I don't know if it was you or somebody else, but I know that you belong to that line. And we said that you have all our support, and what we are currently working on providing these spaces. That's why we're talking about and route times, and we want to have a better capability to provide the services. I don't know if you have any other comment, and I hope my answer has responded to your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. A good question and a good answer. I just wanted to ask one more question from my side a little bit, because I've had a question on the app, which is referring to new technology and innovations. Question for all three of you, really. I mean, one is perhaps for Veracruz is, the development of Veracruz as a smart port. What is Veracruz doing to make sure, especially with new developments, to make sure it's a smart port with good connectivity and yard management, and using any new technology to make sure that Veracruz is really modern, state-of-the-art? And there'll be a similar question to Antonio and also to Roberto to see what new technology and ideas, innovations you're bringing into your groups. But I'll start with Lucia. If you can tell us what Veracruz are doing to become a smart port using the latest and newest technology.
5 or 6 years ago, we started working with a project called Marca de Calidad, quality brand. We started with containers, and now we are currently working with the automotive industry. We already had technological development, but derived from this project and based on the space needs and the capability that we had foreseen for the future, we started developing a technological software where the customs agency, NAT, which is the main agency operating vehicles in Veracruz, together with API and other assembly plants that have joined this new mechanism, they have allowed us to develop the software. So all the shipments, distribution times, everything has been, the lead times have been reduced thanks to that technology. We are connected on real-time basis with some of the assembly plants, 2 assembly plants, in fact, and also with the customs agency in Veracruz. That current layout and the logistics. These are the agents. This is the agency that knows how many vehicles are in each ship, how long they're going to be at the port, the lead times, and so they help us distribute the spaces with the best efficiency possible, but everything has been done through the new software. That software has been improving on an ongoing basis, so this software can be used. In fact, there are some companies, some logistics companies that have helped us to provide a better service to their customers through the software. And based on everything that is happening right now, we are going to expand the software in terms of space and time, since the embarkment planning, shipping planning, and there is something that is missing, and we have to talk to the customs agency and assembly plant so we can work together and develop better better features so we can start rolling down this.
What I can
app.
say is that in
Lo
addition
que
to
puedo
what
decir es que
Lucy
además
just
de lo
mentioned,
que
because we are part of this process, we combine our efforts with this new platform that the Port Authority released, and it's been really helpful working together with the custom brokers as well. As a CSI, we also have one of our companies. It's specialized in developing our IT platforms. We offer a unique platform to our commercial partners where they can not only trace and track their units, but also they can have tactical, operative, and dashboards. They can get the statistics. They can get, everything is online, of course, and the quality reports as well of damages or whatever. So that's something that we have been working for a long, long time. I would say more than 15 years. And we know that the makers sometimes say, hey, I have my own system and I need to use it, but sometimes we work in interfaces with them, or they can also use their system, we feed their system, and they can access to our platform as well to get additional information of their vehicles. So in the matter of technology, that's what I can share with you. Yeah.
Thanks, Luis. Before answering your question, and I don't want to beat the dead horse here, but since we're continuing to talk about Veracruz, and I think as an industry and from a supplier perspective, we need to get better at listening to the voice of our customers. We are fortunate to have a lot of them as our customers, and I don't really hear any complaints, for instance, on information or on exchange of information or systems. It's always about infrastructure and dwell times and so on. And we need to be careful when we develop solutions for the customers. What's really happening now is that they end up costing more to them, right? So when you don't have the right infrastructure and you develop solutions around it, they end up paying more for it. And I think as an industry, we need to get better at developing something that is sufficient for them, and it doesn't end up costing more. I think that would be my comment. And on the information, I think we need to do a better job in integrating, right, suppliers. The solutions that I've seen that we have are you have, for instance, your own system, and then you develop a way to communicate with other systems, but not in the way that they do it, for instance, on the inbound logistics. I think we would all agree that there's a big gap between the automation that has been created on the inbound side and on the outbound side. Things are changing, and I think industry is taking the right steps towards more automated solutions on the outbound side. And as customers to start, or OEMs to start, moving towards build to order and those type of things, I think automation will come to the outbound side of the business as well.
Thank you. Any more questions? In the middle there, please.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Sebastián Gómez, de Contecar, Cartagena, Colombia. La pregunta básicamente es para Antonio. Quiero saber, Antonio, ¿cuál es el costo de la infraestructura que vas a tener con este parking garage?
In this parking garage.
Gracias. The estimated cost of
El costo
this
estimado
building is going to be $50 million. It is a big investment, but that's, of course, a proof of what we are, that we are giving a solution to the industry. Roberto said perfectly that, it seems like at some point the solutions mean extra cost to the industry. I mean, if you think of an external yard, of course, there are extra costs involved. If you think about the usage of a building, well, that's extra charge involved. But from my point of view, that's what happens everywhere. I mean, there are park garage all over the world, and at some point the space is not enough, so you need to do these kind of things. I don't know, it's like with containers. I mean, I'm not specialized in containers at all, but you move your container to external yard in order to have more efficiency in the ports, even to get better rates outside of the ports, because inside of the ports the rates are always higher. We know that when we have the building, our external facility is going to be less attractive for a few volumes, since maybe it wouldn't make sense to make a stop and then go into a parking garage. But at the same time, it's going to offer a great advantage to the industry, since they will be able to send their vehicles directly from their plants to the port, to a parking garage where the vehicles are going to be saved from weather conditions, that they will have certainty, which is the most important thing here. This parking garage is being built in a concession that belongs to CSI or CPV. I would like to point here that CPV is a company of CSI, but it's the only company of CSI that doesn't have CSI something in the name, but we decided to maintain this name because it's one of the three companies. It's a historic company in Veracruz. That's why we decided to maintain CPV, the name, but this is a CSI company. So, yeah, I mean, with this building, yeah, if you think that it's going to be more expensive than having your vehicles in an open area, yeah, but you will be sure, and you will be able to plan your production, your forecast, and to ensure that your vehicles are going to be received in port and they are going to be shipped. That's so far what has been happening is that, yeah, the vehicles were shipped, yeah, with delays, but the idea is to have a facility that allowed the industry to ensure their shipments and avoid extra costs.
Okay, thank you. We're kind of running out of time really now, but I just wanted to kind of make a point, or maybe it is a question, about, again, the Port of Veracruz, about communication with the industry. I had a conversation with the Secretary of Communication and Transport maybe about a year ago, and one of the issues that was coming up is the communication between the industry and the Secretariat of the Ministry of Transportation wasn't good enough, that the car makers would say, we want this and we want that and we want this, but they weren't giving enough details, they weren't giving numbers. So the Secretary of Transport was saying, they want us to invest, but they're not giving us enough information to help us to invest in the correct way. So really what I wanted to ask, or maybe confirm with Lucia, with Veracruz, that the communication is good, so that you understand what the car industry needs, and that you're getting clear information to help you, to help them. So is that correct? Are you getting the right kind of information so you can plan, you can invest to help the automotive industry?
We hold weekly meetings with the assembly plants, with Volkswagen, Nissan, Ford, Mazda, Honda. The commercial area, the operation area, hold a regular meeting. We had a meeting with Mr. Gutierrez from Volkswagen. Every week we receive a representative from the automotive industry, because we're working hand in hand with the automotive industry, with the officials and officers from those companies. We are aware of their needs from a direct source. They are knowledgeable of the projects, what we are currently doing, and what would that impact their operation. Yes, we have a very close relationship with the representatives and heads of the assembly plants in Mexico. The Port of Veracruz does have that relationship.
Okay, thank you.
Gracias.
I think we're getting to, well, we've got to the end of the session now. We've overrun a little bit and it's time to go to lunch. But before we do, firstly, I want to thank the panel for giving interesting and honest answers. Thank you very much. Before we actually go, though, what we're going to do a kind of a draw of some of the business cards and the attendees, just to give a small prize, a thank you to those who have attended we say the Queen's favourite biscuits. I don't know if they are still the Queen's favourite biscuits because I haven't been to her house for tea for months now, but assuming it hasn't changed. But one of the reasons for doing the draw is a thank you to you, but more importantly than giving away biscuits, it's your thoughts on the conference, the evaluation forms. You should have the evaluation forms in front of you. Alternatively, you can use the app. There is an area on the app where we ask questions to find out what you think of the conference, what ideas, suggestions, what we can do to make the conference better. I think it's under the comment of survey. That's the heading on the app. Your opinions are very, very important to us. We work. Our job is to put the conference together that you need and that you require. So so please be honest with us. Tell us what we need to do to make sure we can put together the best possible event for you. So please complete the forms and let us know. Usually, obviously, in these situations, we do the prize draw, and I usually get a beautiful assistant to help me with the prize draw. Sometimes things don't quite go to plan. So Matt, if I can. You might want to take this off him, Roberto, but it's Raul Ambris from Wallenius Wilhelmsen Logistics. So thank you, Raul. Thank you for attending and for your support. And we have some biscuits here for you, if they get to you before Roberto shows his management power. So thank you very much. Please join us for the lunch downstairs. And we'll be back in this room at 3 o'clock with one of the most important sessions where we have an open discussion and a final Q&A with some of the important car makers who have been at this conference. So please enjoy your lunch, your final visits to the sponsor stands and your coffee and desserts, and back in this room at 3 o'clock. Thank you.